What is going on, y'all? It is DJ here back on the Y3 podcast. Today I have a special guest here, Jeremiah. The Lucrative Investor is what, your Instagram handle?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the Lucrative Investor. Today, before we get into my conversation with him and dive into investing, I want to just get the first order of business out the way, and that's if you find any value in this podcast today, any value in this episode, I ask that you share this episode with a friend, at least one friend. Share it on your social media, whatever. If you think my shit sucks, if you think there's something I need to work on, fucking comment that. Let me know. We're real interactive with people. If you are an entrepreneur out there and you do want to have a platform to come on and talk about your brand and your product and things like that, you can reach us at the Y3 podcast at gmail.com, and we can have you on the show as a guest. But now we are going to focus on my special guest today, the Lucrative Investor. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Living a dream.
Word.
I'm trying to wake up.
Word. I feel that. So before anything, I mean, the average person out there probably don't even know what investing is. So just jump in and tell me what investing actually is.
A lot of people do have trouble with investing. There's a lot of people successful with investing. There's different things. When you talk about investing, you have to, there's like sub topics, or whether you're a short-term, mid-term, long-term investor. I'm morely on the long-term investing side.
Okay.
I'm all about growth, value, income investing. There's different avenues that you could take with investing as well. So before you ever think about investing money or investing in real estate, you would definitely have to do your homework first.
Okay. When you and it's interesting that you say homework. When you say you got to do your homework, I feel like the average person out there would like to invest, but they're like, oh, there's just too much fucking information. Yeah, I mean, the average person doesn't want to do it just because it's too much information for them, right? So I'd say, like, how would you break down, right, and put it in the most simplest way? Let's say somebody's like, some person that's just getting into it, I don't even know where to invest at. What's a good first investment?
A good investment right now would definitely be the stock market. If you have any type of capital, just jump in. When I say do your homework, it took some years for me to feel confident to invest my dollar.
Where you're putting your money.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
When I say do your homework, you would want to find a system that was proven to work time and time again, and duplicate this system in your own way. Well, maybe not in your own way, but make sure that you duplicate the system.
I know we've had a conversation off camera about starting like portfolios and like as little as $5 a week, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that shit. A lot of people don't know that, they're, I only have $10. What shares can I buy? I mean, I can't get into that. I only have $10. I have no capital. I have no nothing. You know what I mean?
So not to stop you there, but to piggyback off that, there's something that is called fractional shares, to where you don't have to buy a full share of a company. Okay. You could buy a third of a company. Of that share. You could buy, if you have $5, put that $5 into a stock a company that you know is going to last. One of them's Coke, McDonald's, GE. I could go on for days. That's General Electric, by the way.
Right. So what you're saying is too, like, so people ask, oh, what's a good investment? And like the things we use every day are good investments. So like, you wake up every morning and what the fuck do you do? You brush your fucking teeth, right?
Absolutely.
Colgate. That's a good fucking investment, right? That's not going anywhere, right?
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, when people want to talk about it, I feel like people try to overcomplicate investing, right? And like I said, I don't know much about it, but I know enough to know that it's not as complicated as people make it seem.
It's definitely not as complicated.
Right, okay.
When you overcomplicate things, your brain's going to have a hard time of dissecting it. You want to make everything simple. So I treat it like basketball. I'm a basketball fanatic. Right. I treated the game as something it was simple to me. So I kept it simple, and I was pretty good at what I did. It's the same thing with investing. I learned, but then I keep it simple. There's different avenues that you could take. Like I said before, you can all right, we have IRA, Roth IRA, you have 401ks, you have a SEP. There's different, you know, and they all.
Right there, I feel like you right there, I feel like so much people will watch this and just get lost. Roth IRA. You know, I feel like the average person knows what a 401k is because I feel like the average employer does a 401k. So I feel like most people know what a 401k is, but what, you know, if you can, what do you think? So let's say, you know, what's better? You know, I know it might differ for different circumstances, but like, should I have a Roth IRA or should I have a 401k?
That's a good question. So for the average investor, my belief is that the Roth IRA is the best avenue that you could take because it's just tax savvy. It is simple, and like I said, you want to keep it simple. So when you're dealing with 401ks, you're dealing with burdens that you might not notice. There's hidden fees, there's commission fees that the company doesn't have to tell you about.
Right.
And they're protected.
And 401ks are taxed when you taxed, right?
You know, they're taxed when you put money in, and they're taxed when you take money out. A Roth IRA is not taxed on contributions, and it's not taxed on your withdrawals, but there are guidelines that you have to stick to, and it's the time period that you keep your Roth IRA. You want it to mature. So if you do a premature withdrawal before you're retired, which is 59 and a half, it will get taxed.
Okay.
But after that time period, it's you know, tax deferred.
Okay, that's dope because I didn't know that. I just thought it was tax free. You feel me?
It's tax deferred.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and I've like actively follow like a lot of investors on social media to try to learn a little bit about it or whatever. And like I said, I know enough about it to know that it's not as complicated as people make it seem. But at the same time, you know, even when I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get started, right? I'm gonna get started. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was telling me, back to that point about, you know, starting a portfolio for $5 a week, right? He was telling me, like, I have a son. He's like, oh, you have a son? Like, you should open a portfolio for him, $5 a week. Talk about like the advantages of, you know, if you're a parent right now and you have a kid. How soon can you start? Can you start a portfolio as soon as they're born, or do they have to be a certain age?
Nope, you can start it as soon as they're born, as long as you're the custodian of that account. You're all set to go.
Okay.
You know,
so the account's actually under the child's name, but you're
basically the protector.
Okay.
So to speak.
Right. You're the one that makes the legal decisions until he's 18 or she's 18 at least, right?
Yep. And you can pass it down, or you know, there's things that you can switch on there. But if you're a parent, which I am, it's definitely good to start a portfolio while they're young, because you know, we're already in our mid-20s. Some people I know are in their early 30s. Our time horizon isn't as big as our kids.
Right.
You know?
Right.
My daughter has about 55 years until she retires.
Right.
Right.
And the shit's changing so much every day, bro. Like the market ain't the same market that it was, you know, when we was 8 and our parents should have started it. You feel me? Right? The market's not the same. When we was 8, the internet damn near didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was on like dial up. It was just coming.
And they missed that bubble.
Yeah.
The internet bubble.
Yeah. That's a hell of a bubble to miss.
It is, because that's how wealth switches. You know, families.
It's interesting to think what position you probably would be in if my mom started me a portfolio at like 2-3 years old, right?
It's bananas when you think about it.
It'd be crazy.
It's like, bananas when you think. You probably would. Listen, we would not be in Boston probably.
Right. Right.
It's the.
But you know, it's a difference in the generations where our parents were like, where it's like drilled into their head, because a lot of our parents they came to this country. You know what I mean? Like our parents came to this country as opposed to we came up here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our parents came to this country and like. So they came as workers. They came ready to work, ready to make some money, ready to, you know, fucking move their arms and flex their muscle and whatever, right? They came to do that shit. And their idea of setting us up with a great future is them being away from us 24/7 so they can make all this money, right?
And then to tell us to go to school, get a job.
The same thing, right? Yep, go to school, get a job. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go to school and shouldn't. You take whatever path is best for you, right? If you feel school is for you, right? School's not for everybody though, you know. So I don't want you to feel like shit if you decided not to go to college, right?
Absolutely.
But that being said, like, you know, our parents come out and they fucking, you know, they drill us like, oh, all right, you gotta get these good grades and you gotta, you know, go get a fucking college loan for $60,000.
Yeah.
And you know what blows my mind? This is I gotta say this.
I know you're gonna say something that I already have.
This might go off because this might be a little off track of where I'm like trying to go, but I have to say it because it's on my mind now. A bank will give you a fucking $60,000 loan to go to school right now. But if I go to school, if I go to a bank and ask them for $5,000 to open my business,
I knew he was going to say
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not going to do that. And we can go into a whole different line of reasons why that might be. But I mean, I don't want to get into that. But my point is that's for a reason. You know what I mean? That's for a reason.
Yeah.
So let's get back to investing and stuff. Talk about what exactly an LLC is and what advantages it gives you as far as personal protection.
Okay.
Personal protection versus, you know, your company's assets and your assets.
Okay. So a limited liability company, that's your LLC, an entity. So when you think about entities, you also want to think like this entity is its own person. So when you think about an LLC in that way, it gives you a better idea on what it could do. It could invest in stocks just like you. It could buy property just like you. It could lease things just like you.
Okay.
You know, there's so many ways that
it's a whole separate person.
It's a whole separate person. That's what I look at an LLC. When I just look at it as a separate person. So its main reason is to separate the owner's personal finances and assets away from the company's finances and assets. So it's more for protection and tax efficiency, but you'd really only get that protection. This is my opinion. If you really only get that protection is if you have your retirement account own the LLC. And the reason why I say that's dope. Your retirement.
So I want you to say that again, just for the people. You want your retirement account to own your LLC. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what you call it's an IRA LLC. That's what they'll call it, or they'll just say checkbook control. So if you ever hear that term, checkbook control, that just means that an IRA owns the LLC.
Okay.
And that you're able to make investments with the LLC's money with the IRA, right? Without a custodian's help. Now, this is where you start to save money, because remember I told you a lot of these custodians, they have hidden fees and things like that, right?
Right.
So the type of account that I'm talking about is a self-directed account. You have accounts like, let me think, Acorns, where they give you a pre-set portfolio, right? And it's just like a 401k, because when you add your money in there, one, you don't really pick where your money is going to, and then they could switch assets out of that portfolio, which gives them a commission fee, right? And then 1%, right, expense could equal up to $300,000 after you retire. And that's a lot of money, because that $300,000 could compound into something bigger.
Shit, some people don't make $300,000 their whole lives.
You know what I mean?
You know?
And they're taking it from us,
right,
using 401ks.
Right.
So that's one reason why I stick away from the 401k.
Okay, so you tend to, personally for you, you tend to stay away from a 401k and more into like a Roth IRA and IRAs. Okay.
Because when you do that, when you're dealing with a 401k, and this is again, if it's easier for you, you can. But when you want to get somewhere, you have a goal. You want to stick away from the 401k, because that's just basically saying, here, sir, here's my money. I know you're better at investing than I am. You could just take my money and do whatever. And they do whatever. They work under what you call a suitability standard. And that's not what we want. We want the gold standard. Gold standard is where you get out of a fiduciary. A fiduciary puts your interests before their companies.
So and you mentioned Acorns real quick, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a beginner at investing, right? I'm a beginner at investing. You talked about avenues. There's all different ways to jump into the stock market. You got the Cash App, you got Acorns, you got fucking what's some other ones?
Stash, M1 Finance.
Right. And then you got TD Ameritrade. I feel like TD Ameritrade is a little more complicated for the average beginner.
That's for the
But that's the real shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the real shit. If there's gonna be something you want to get involved, I personally, for me, I'd stay away from any of the apps.
Yeah.
Right? The Acorns, any of the apps like that, the Acorns, the Cash Apps, all that shit. I'd stay away from that, and I would get into where I have complete control into something like TD Ameritrade, right? And TD Ameritrade's dope because they actually offer a course on their website. And it's a free course, it's a free account. You can create your account and jump into TD Ameritrade, and they offer it's a complex, deep course. And of course you're not gonna be able to learn everything watching this one episode. We're not even, to be honest, my goal is more just to make you aware that you can invest. Yeah. Right?
You got to think about vocabulary, which will mess you up if you do not know terms. Of course. Because that was the one thing that I had trouble with was mastering the terms. But read books, man. If you could read a book, read one book in a week, next week you read another book, I recommend Tony Robbins if you want a book. Money Master the Game, Unshakable. Those are all investment books, and he really breaks down the market in those books. So.
And I'll drop a link. I'll drop a link here too, and it'll run to some good Tony Robbins books. We'll put together after the episode. We'll put together a book list for y'all, and I'll drop that link, and y'all can check out that book list. That book list is going to be created from this guy right here.
It's going to be fire.
So we'll create that book list. I'll drop that link for you guys. But getting back to what we were talking about the apps, a lot of people is going to want to stay away from TD Ameritrade, the average person, because it's too complicated. You know what I mean? It's all the graphs and the fucking lines everywhere, right? The colors, everything. It's unattractive to an average person. Yeah. And that's normal, right?
That's normal.
So let's say I'm an average person. I don't care too much to invest, but I know it's a little important. What app do you recommend that I get into to invest?
Stay away from Cash App, y'all. Stay away from Cash App. Okay. I see a lot of people talking about Cash App. DJ just threw a cat, but that was a small example on which you can use. Stay away from it, because I don't know how secure Cash App is with selling securities, because that's a dangerous field to play with. But the average investor, I recommend M1 Finance, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
M1 Finance makes it easy to pick your own stocks. There's something that you in the market called the ETF. It's an exchange traded fund, right? Mm-hmm. That's just a basket of stocks. So it's just like a basket with eggs on Easter,
Right.
And you put money into that portfolio, and it gets split throughout those stocks at a whatever percentage you set them at. And that's the thing. And M1 Finance lets you do asset allocation. Now, when we talk about asset allocation, this is one of the terms people are going to have to remember. Asset allocation is a way to diversify, and it's really effective. Something like 5% of my money is going to Coke, 10% is going to Apple, and that's how you stay on top of things. At the end of the year, you can rebalance, because Coke you might have it set at 5%, but Coke might shoot up throughout the year to 15%. Then you want to rebalance, because that's how you keep your portfolio balanced, and balance is everything. Diversify is everything. Okay. So M1 Finance definitely has the tools to help you be successful.
Yeah, I feel like when you go into like Cash App and like Acorns and shit like that, at least I've tried to like use them. I've messed with them very lightly, so I could be wrong on this, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen a feature on any of the micro apps or whatever when it comes to investing that give you an option to diversify, or like
you don't
an automatic, like, all right, every week it's gonna be $100 automatically. You can set that up on M1 Finance to where they take 100 automatically. It's something that you can set it up to the point where you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It just happens. It takes the 100, and you have your portfolio set up that, like you said, diversifying your portfolio, where it's automatically set up that 10% here, 5% here, 5% here, 5% here. You don't got it. It's not like you got a lot of people are hearing you talking like, fuck that. I gotta put 5. That just sounds like too much numbers for me. You set it once,
you forget about it.
Yeah, you said it once and you forget about it, right? Yeah. Right? And it's the easiest way to passive income, I think.
It's a strategy. It's just called automation.
Yeah.
When you make something into a habit and you have it automatically, you're training your brain to not think about it. You're just training your brain to start a habit of saving. That's all it is.
And we love habit. But good habits, bad habits, we fucking love habits.
Yeah, a habit makes a person. Yeah, it absolutely does.
We love habits. Whether it's that fucking coffee every fucking morning.
That's me.
Or it's a habit of investing, or a habit of saving money, or a habit of spending money. Whatever it is, once you get into it and once you're going, every habit you have right now, you started somewhere. You feel me? So
laser focus.
Yeah.
Laser focus. And when you create the habit of investing, let me tell you, it is the most beautiful thing. Because after a year of doing the same thing, trust me, you'll see it and you'll feel real good. So real quick, it's called compound interest. Where Einstein came up with this and called it the eighth wonder of the world, right? Compound interest is nothing but exponents. So see, they could have taught this in a more effective way to us in school, but they didn't.
Don't get me started on what they teach in school, man.
Look,
in the public school system, you guys say.
If you do the math, right, with the average 10% a year compounded with the S&P 500, that's the market. When people say buy the market, they're talking about the top 500 companies in America. In one ETF you could do that with is SPY, is SPY, that's his ticker symbol, or VOO, which will give you a lower expense ratio, and that one comes from Vanguard, which is a fiduciary, awesome company. But when you do the math, right, I did the math a couple weeks ago. I did a 10% compounded annual return, right? I put $500 into my account a month, right? It equals to $6,000 a year. That's just maxing your retirement account out. So after the $6,000, you don't have to put another dollar in because you'll get a penalty, right? But I did only $100 in this equation for my daughter for 55 years, which I know I wouldn't be on this earth for 55 years because I take care of my health, right? This girl doesn't have a choice but to be a millionaire. She's going to retire a millionaire. Right. I know that for a fact.
Right. Just off the portfolio you're building her now. How old's your daughter now?
She's 5.
She's 5. So on a 50-year plan, right? Yeah. And 50 years is not a lot, right? A lot of people think, 50 years, but like even if you're talking about $5 a week for 50 years, right? Yeah. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you're talking about $50 or $5 a week for 50 years, or even if it's what your daughter's 5. My son is 2. Let's say I start one with my son for 16 years and I'm doing $10 a fucking week. Yeah. Right? $10 a week. Like I said, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
I could give you an estimate. For 13 years?
16. Yep.
And how much did you say?
Let's say I do $10 a week, 16 years for my son right now.
He's going to have close to 40 grand.
By the time he's 18.
Yeah, 40, 50 grand.
That's right. And that's much better than putting it in fucking Bank of America that has a 0.003 APR. You know what I mean?
And then you got to think of inflation.
Right.
You know? So technically, you put your dollar in a savings account, you're losing buying power. You get me? Mm-hmm. Because inflation's eating that up. Your dollar's not making shit, okay? Inflation's eating it up. You want to make something more than 2% in that year. Stocks is the easiest way to go. You know why? Because the S&P 500 does an automatic 10% a year. Warren Buffett told you, if you want to be a millionaire, find something that gives you 10% or more. S&P 500 is one of them, but sometimes it could drop to 8%, but that's just average. It really never takes. But it's right around there.
Yeah, but it doesn't even compare to the fucking.
Yeah, and this is for the last.
To your bank that you put $100 in every week on the savings account. You know
absolutely,
what I mean?
And this is from the last 75, 80 years, 100 years. So it's something that it's like something people know that's going to happen, just based off of history. But there's ways to definitely get way more than 10%. Now that's another ball game. It's called stock picking, and this is why when you do invest in, it's just really good to read books. Try to pick guys like Warren Buffett's brain. I know people bring up Warren Buffett a lot and all of that, but this dude is outrageous. They call him the Oracle of Omaha, and I used some of his strategies and I definitely benefited. One of them I benefited. What stock was it? A Shopify, which people use right now to run their own business.
Of course, you see it everywhere. Everyone that's running their at-home business is their websites through Shopify. They're what you buy their products from is
straight
Shopify.
Go down to the bottom of their website and you can see it, powered by Shopify. I can know a trick to take that off, right? I did this 3 years ago, Shopify, right? I made 17 grand and don't tell nobody. No, I'm just playing. But a lot of it was taxed, obviously. You know, I have a lot to put because I was drop shipping. When you drop ship, that's a strategy to make quick money. Well, if you're good at marketing, anything on social media, if you're good at using Instagram, I had 13,000 followers and they was mostly women. I was selling women's clothes, so it was real easy for me to make money. I had 2 models, one in LA and the other one was in, I think it was Michigan. I could be wrong, but I think she's from Michigan. But Shopify is just something that people been using, and I made a lot of money dealing with putting money into Shopify, speculating Shopify's growth. And right now, actually, they still have no debt as a company, so it's a good investment to make if you want to make some good money in the next 5 years.
Word. So you want to make some good money in the next 5 years, invest in Shopify.
Shopify, right? Fever.
All right. So that being said, right now off the top of the head, your top five investments for a beginner or whatever, it doesn't matter. What's your top 5 investments today?
My top 5 investments, I'm gonna tell you some companies that I invest in because I don't want to tell you guys anything that I don't invest in, which there are a lot of good stocks out there that I don't own. All right, so one of them is Peloton Interactive. Okay, it's a growth stock. They've been doing real good in the market. They have a good balance sheet, and that's one thing you have to pay attention to when you investing in stocks. If a stock has a good balance sheet, they're going to be a strong company later down the road. If they have zero, no debt, they have a bunch of assets a bunch of cash on side. Peloton Interactive has a good balance sheet, and that's one of the reasons why I invest in their stock. They're fairly new company. Apan Corp is one of them. Their ticker symbol is APPN. Most of the stocks that I've been investing in, they're more growth stocks, cloud stocks, internet stocks. Although the internet is already here, the older we get, I feel like the more technology gets crazier. We have all types of cloud devices, all these internet stocks. Technology is just getting crazier and crazier by the year. I thought it was going to stop with Apple, but I guess not. Palantir Technologies. Okay, they deal with a lot of defense products. They deal with the military, things of that nature. They're a new company though. They have technology that a lot of companies need. And one thing about them that stuck out to me is that they care about the consumers, any type of consumers that they have, whether it's another business, the military, whatever. So they left Silicon Valley because they felt like companies that came out of Silicon Valley just cared about profit, and they didn't want to be associated with greed. So they just left Silicon Valley not too long ago. This right here is one of my favorite stocks. It's called NIO. NIO is changing the game. Any electric car, any electric vehicle company is changing the game. That's the trend right now. Right. You know, it's not just Tesla. Tesla is already established. You go to China, you're going to see all sorts of different electric vehicles
you never seen over here.
That you never seen over here. And NIO looks better than a Tesla, tell you the truth. You know, they look way better than a Tesla. Their balance sheet, their path right now looks identical to Tesla when they first started. That's why they're called the Tesla of China. But they're not even in America right now. But when they get here, they're going to blow. So that's one of the, NIO is one of the stocks that I own. I got into NIO at about $3 a share. Right now they're
$3 a share.
Yeah, right now they're $41.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
think of that. That's insane, bro.
And you can see how it's like this, bro. A stock will be down here 1 month, and then 3 months later, it'll be way up here. And if you don't, check on these companies almost every day or every week, you're going to miss it. One thing I could tell you is stay up on articles. Every morning, I have a habit of reading about 5 newsletters. These newsletters give me everything that I need to know what's going on in the economy. And the reason why I read 5 is because when you read one,
the nugget right there.
Yeah, when you read one, you're only getting one side of a story. You want to. It's like doing a science project. You know what I mean? You want to do like 3 trials or 4 trials to make sure that the first one wasn't bogus. That's what I do with the newsletters. I read 5 of them all at work. I'll be at work hiding my phone like this. Like right. Because I have a goal, and a 9 to 5 is not going to stop me from reaching that goal. I got to be up on my information. Right. This company right here, Innovative Industrial Properties, they're a real estate company, but they deal with dispensaries. Okay, now this is where we just have what I think it was 4 states just legalized weed.
Yeah, with the recent elections. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Recreational.
And it's not going to stop there.
Of course not.
If New Jersey just did it,
that's something to get into. That's something to get into. Whether it be actually interested in actually owning an actual shop, or you want to invest in one, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right?
Either way,
it's something to get into. But that being said, that was 5, right?
That was my top 5. So, but let me tell you, the 5 I just gave you, get on them now because they're not that much. They're not over $200. Okay. They're not breaking your pockets. You buy a pair of shoes that's $100. Some of y'all get Yeezys. Them shits is like $400. You could buy 5 of one of my favorite stocks.
If you get them when they first drop.
Well, if you get them when they first drop.
Like triple that shit. You know, if you don't.
Like this watch was close to $400, right? I had it for a year and some change, but I could have bought 4 of my favorite stocks with that $400. One of my favorite stocks is only
things you learn,
sitting
right?
at 125. Yeah, if you're scared to learn, don't be scared, because that's one of the main reasons of failure. I swear to God, is fear. It's fear. When you're scared of something, you just don't try. Like, I was scared of the market because people kept talking about 2008. Like, I was in the 8th grade. I didn't know anything about it 2008, but I still jumped in. People's like, oh, the market's risky, I don't want to lose. Well, any investment is risky. No investment is guaranteed a profit. you know?
Right.
Like, no investment is guaranteed a profit.
Right, and so we'll move on to the next one. I want to talk about dividends. A lot of people don't know companies will pay you to hold their stock, right? Yep. They'll pay you to buy the stock. You buy the stock, and they're paying you now to hold it, which is called a dividend. Talk about what a dividend is, and what's one company that you can go buy a share of right now and start earning some money from dividends.
A dividend is what I like to call a thank you for owning our stock. That's exactly what it is. Word. It's a thank you. They do not have to give you a dividend, but it is best for a company to do that because it's a mind game now. When they give you a dividend, it's something to say, our company's doing so good, we could pay you, give you a payout. A good company, a company that gives a good dividend right now would be, you have Coca-Cola. Okay. You have
and keep in mind, you don't have to buy a full share of Coca-Cola.
You don't have to buy a full share.
You can buy a fraction.
You could buy.
If you can only afford to buy $100 worth of a share,
then buy $100. Right. If you only have 10, you can put that 10 in. Right. You keep building on it. You want to just average down. Johnny, if Johnny would go ham on that subject. It's just about staying consistent with your contributions because it adds up, and he's one of the main guys.
We're gonna get Johnny on the show pretty soon. That motherfucker, he's different.
Johnny is a different type of guy.
He's a different breed when it comes to investing.
He's an options guy too, and that's one of the options is a different world. We could jump on that on another day, because options, that's something we have to separate and give this his own.
This won't be our last episode on investing. I can promise you guys that. What do you? We talked about vocabulary terms earlier in the show. What terms for a beginner, whether that be 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, whatever, right? Give me some terms that you think beginners must know today before they put their first fucking dollar into the market.
The very first one of the most important, asset allocation. Because you can't do anything with asset allocation. Well, you could throw a whole bunch of money into one stock and then have that one stock plummet to zero.
Right.
You know.
And it's funny because we just had this conversation before we came in off camera.
Yeah.
I was outside, right? We was outside and we had a conversation with someone outside, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I bought a fucking stock of." What did he say? McDonald's? Did he say McDonald's? Did he say?
Yeah, McDonald's.
So he said he put $10 into McDonald's. He said he watched it for 3 months and he lost like 10 cents. He was like, "Fuck that!" But that's putting all your assets. Shit, if you have $10, put $2.50 into McDonald's. $2.50 into Apple. $2.50 into this. You know what I mean? Don't put, if you have $10, don't put $10 into McDonald's.
And our parents always used to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And those little things, right?
It's the little small stuff.
It's the little things, man.
But asset allocation, you learn that word and you marry that word, and it'll create a habit of just diversifying, because diversifying asset allocation falls into one umbrella. But that word right there, that, you know, once you understand it, you will understand how to make money and not lose money. And that's one of the things that all tycoon is like the pros, the sharks, they all have the same thing in common: how not to lose money. Even Nipsey Hussle, all money in, no money out. They all
talk
work.
About that's a whole other conversation. You want to talk about fully owning and shit like that.
Woo,
Talk about ownership and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But you know, we'll get into that, like I said, another episode. This won't be our last episode of when it comes to investing. Another question I have for you: is there any tax advantages to an LLC?
There's definitely tax advantages to an LLC. LLC is real tax savvy. I personally own an LLC, Jenkins, which is a real estate solutions company. Right now, it's working as a shelf company. We deal with Tesla Real Estate Fund. We partner with them. Their whole mission is to buy back the block, so we do invest a lot of money with Tesla Real Estate Fund, which is in Atlanta, Georgia. Definitely black owned, and it's named Tesla for a reason. If anybody didn't know, Black Wall Street, that's why it's named Tesla. But so, you know, the thing that an LLC does with taxes is that you can have multiple members, but the LLC doesn't pay taxes. You know, it's a flow through entity, so the taxes will flow through the LLC and go to its members, and the members will write off gains and losses based off of how much money, you know, they contributed to it's a stake, their stake, so to speak. So if I own 50% of my LLC, then I'm writing down 50% of the losses, 50% of the profit. Now, it gets more tax savvy when you're a single member LLC. Okay. When you're a single member LLC, it's way more tax savvy, because now you remember, we're going to go back to having your Roth IRA own the LLC, and now this is when neither you or the LLC pays taxes.
So that being said, right, you know, we talked about, you know, a little bit of what, you know, the tax advantages of owning an LLC. LLC or corporation?
I'm going with an LLC.
Okay.
I'm definitely going with an LLC because I feel like I could, I have a little bit more avenues that I could take with an LLC. But if I was working on certain projects like real estate crowdfunding, I would definitely deal with a corporation, because now I could raise money a little bit differently through OPM. That's other people's money. That's just an acronym. I got that from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep. Okay. That's a great book.
Yep. And so OPM, other people's money. A corporation, you could raise money through crowdfunding so easily. You know, it's going to be harder to do that with an LLC, because an LLC doesn't sell shares. You get what I'm saying?
So,
that's
good to know.
Yeah.
That's good information.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an LLC, you're not selling shares.
Nope.
But if you have a corporation, you are.
Yeah.
So what advantages, right? What advantages when you're talking about an LLC and a corporation, right? You're saying one has shares, one doesn't. Is it more beneficial to have shares versus not to have shares? Like you said, you recommend a you would stick with a LLC, right?
Yeah.
You're sticking with LLC. So now, but now you're saying LLCs doesn't have shares. Is it better to have shares or better not to have shares? Or does it just depend what you're doing?
Depends on what you're doing.
Okay.
If you want to raise money, and for an example, let's just say this guy right here, he wants to buy back the blocks. You know, he doesn't have the capital. He has the crowd behind him, you know, and if he can, you know, create a corporation and sell shares, basically you could just sell shares from your corporation and raise money and buy investment like that. But then now you got to worry about when you're selling securities, because that's what you're doing when you're selling shares, is selling securities. And when you do that, you want to know all the regulations, because, you know, you could get in some big trouble with the government. But that being said, when you do sell shares to your company, you know there's certain things that you have to do, like record meetings. You have to give your investors payouts. You have to make sure they're getting the right document when they're getting payouts. It's more to having a corporation. But if you're working on a big project like crowdfunding or any type of real estate or something like that, or if you're trying to do a startup company, that's another thing. Startup companies, they would definitely do a corporation where they could, if they can't get a loan from a bank or something like that, that's one way they raise money, is by selling shares.
Okay.
LLC.
Okay, so it's a good way to raise money. So if you're looking for capital, so would you say if I'm looking for capital, from needing some assistance of capital, corporation's the best way to go, because I can make money by selling shares.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So that being said, you know, like I said, guys, this isn't gonna be the last episode. There's so much information. This episode will be 4 hours long if I ask everything I want to ask. This won't be the last time this guy's on the show. Johnny, he's gonna definitely be on here the next time with us. We'll talk about everything. We'll get into depth. We'll talk about we're gonna get off camera. We're gonna talk about fucking possibly doing a collab and doing maybe a segment where people can learn just about investments, LLCs, S corps, C corps. There's so much we didn't cover. And things like that, but we got the basics. Yeah. But there's a shit ton we didn't get to. That being said, we're gonna wrap this show up. I appreciate you coming on, my brother. Again, we're gonna drop all his social media handles in the link below. We're gonna have that book list for you guys in the link below. Real quick, it's the
Lucrative Investor.
The Lucrative Investor. That being said, we are out. Thank you for watching the Y3 podcast.